Hello everyone and welcome to the F1 Corner, the aftermath of the Turkish Grand Prix. Very crazy and entertaining race, one of the best races that we've got so far this season. It was a race that everybody could have won. It was anybody's guess from the start, and for a while it looked like the Racing Points, especially Lance Stroll, had the pace to potentially get their first Formula One victory. But as the track conditions improved and the track was drying up, we went into a bit of a weird situation where the track was still too wet to put the slick tires, but also too dry to perform well with the intermediate. So in the end, what happened? Well, drivers stayed out with super worn out intermediate tires that were almost slick, but were also performing well with colder conditions. So it was a bit of a weird situation. And in the end, Lewis Hamilton takes victory in front of Sergio Perez and Sebastian Vettel, the German making his way on the podium for the first time this season. Sergio Perez equaling his best Formula One finish in his career, and Hamilton securing his seventh Formula One world title with style on the first step of the podium. And now it's time to take a look at who are the winners and the losers of this Turkish Grand Prix. Before we get to it, please remember to hit the like button and to subscribe to this channel. As usual, let's start with our winners, and here we have to start with Ferrari. After a grim qualifying session, everyone was wondering how the prancing horses would fare in the race. After an amazing start where Vettel made up 7 places, the Ferraris were able to find pace in those strange track conditions and were in podium contention up until the very last lap. Leclerc, who was third, locked up and allowed Sebastian Vettel to pass him. The German gets on the podium for the first time this season and shows that yes, he can still drive. For the team, it is a great double point result that almost assured them now of their 6th place in the Constructors' Championship. They deserve a 9 out of 10. Racing Point. For a good part of the race, it looked like their 2 Racing Points were heading for the top steps of the podium after starting from pole and 3rd place. But when the track started drying up, Stroll started losing a lot of pace, and the team made a bet on new intermediate tires after seeing that other drivers like Charles Leclerc had a better pace after a pit stop. Sadly for the Canadian, the car that was set up to generate as much heat as possible in the tires did not handle that change very well, and he was not able to make up for lost ground. Perez kept the used tires he had and, even though he was significantly slower than the competition, had enough of an advantage to hold on to 2nd place, fighting until the very last corner for it. Overall, it is a result the team really needed, as it now gives them back the 3rd place in the Constructors' Championship, 8.5 out of 10. McLaren. Considering their starting position, the McLaren did a really good job today. It is one of the few teams that we didn't hear much during the race, staying out of trouble, doing their job, and racking up the points. Sainz should be very happy with a 5th place, and this now gives them an edge for the fight for the Constructors' Championship, which looked like it was slipping away just a few weeks ago. Now they are back into it, and very strongly. Very satisfying overall, 7.5 out of 10. Mercedes. Let's start by saying that we will forget about Bottas' performance today, spinning on multiple occasions and finishing 14th. Probably one of his worst races in career, and he will want to move on. What retains our attention today is Lewis Hamilton's victory from 6th place, securing his 7th Drivers' Championship title in style on top of the podium. As much as the Mercedes were struggling at the beginning of the race, they were flying once the track started drying up. Hamilton winning by over 25 seconds in front of Sergio Perez. He had luck on his side for sure, But when you are a professional, you also make your own luck. Overall, because of this victory, Mercedes deserve a 7 out of 10. Going on to our passing grade for the weekend, starting with AlphaTauri. There are only 10 places in the points and not everyone can get in. From their starting positions, only an amazing start could have helped the team getting on top. But unfortunately, it just seems like it was not their weekend. Quali on Saturday was tough, not making it to Q3, and there wasn't much they could do during the race. In fact, we almost didn't hear anything from the two drivers throughout the whole race. It just looks like they did their best they could and under the circumstances, but it is one of those races where it was just not working. They remained 7th in the constructors, but still a respectable position for the small team. 6.5 out of 10. Alfa Romeo. Points were out of reach again today once the track started drying up. We know the team usually does not do well in dry condition this year. Still, we are giving them a nice passing grade for their good result on Saturday during qualifying. For a small team, you gotta take everything that comes your way as a victory, and they did by both making it to Q3. Unfortunately, fun was cut short when Giovinazzi retired on lap 14, and Kimi Raikkonen could just not keep up during the race. 6 out of 10 for Alfa Romeo. Williams. Another normal weekend for the British team. Both drivers, starting from the pit lane, were able to avoid any first turn conundrum, but throughout the whole weekend, we knew it would be painful. No real pace in quali, no pace in the race either. Latifi had to retire on lap 43, and Russell finishing last of the classified drivers. On the bright side, they now have data in the rain for that car. We cannot really put them as losers because they had just nothing to lose, so we give them a 6 out of 10. And now to our losers of the weekend, starting with Red Bull. The perspective was so promising for Red Bull this weekend. Verstappen had pace for pole and Albon was not far behind him, but mistakes from both drivers means that they only finished 6th and 7th today. Verstappen was a bit too impatient behind Sergio Perez as well as behind his own teammate, and he spun a couple of times, making him lose a lot of ground. Albon also made quite a few mistakes after running even in 3rd place at some point during the race, even wondering if maybe he could be fighting for victory. In the end, it is a 2nd weekend in a row that Red Bull will want to forget. They are almost assured to finish 2nd in the championship, but they still need to show strong results in order to start putting potential pressure on Mercedes for 2021. It is a 5 out of 10 for Red Bull. Haas. Sure, we were not expecting anything from Haas again this weekend, but the end result is what justifies a losing position this weekend. Starting in the second half of the field, nothing really went their way. Magnussen had pit stops problem where it seems like maybe a wheel was not well fitted, had to be brought back in the box to fit the wheel properly and then resent on track, losing almost a minute. And in the end, both drivers were classified as DNF when the race was over. Also knowing they will have 2 new drivers next season, the misery is clearly not over for Haas. It is a 5 out of 10 this weekend. Renault. Potentially the team that lost the most this weekend. It was a tough race for the French team despite a respectable qualification. Both drivers touched in the first corner and it was recovery mode after that. They tried to climb back the field, but they leave Turkey with 1 minuscule point. This greatly impeded their chances of getting 3rd place in the championship, especially considering the great result that Racing Point got and also the double point finish of McLaren. There are still 3 races left, and yes, Ricciardo managed to get few podiums this season, but it is not where they want to be right now. 4.5 out of 10 for the French team. That's it everyone, what did you think of that race? Leave a comment, hit the like button and subscribe, and I will see you again in 2 weeks in Bahrain. Thank you and see you next time.